screen. Okay, recording in progress. So for those who just joined the recording, Hare Krishna as well. Where this is the second to last chapter in Bhagavatamrita. You just see it's called Purna, the complete perfection, and it's describing Krishna being in his ecstasy of separation, being taken to New Vrindavan. So let's see what manifests when he gets taken there. So let me share my screen as I said I would, and we have some readers. We have Mavalabanga Latika. She has a hand up for reading. So as you can begin. Others also, if you'd like to read, please feel free to put your hand up. Trying to let me do what I keep on saying I'm going to do and share my screen. Let me press the right button. Oh, Krishna. 1 second. Okay. Share screen. Books. We have Bhagavatamrita. Share. Da-da-da. Hare Krishna. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistale. Jai Mati Bhakti Vedanta Swam Phenomene. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachalini. Nivasisha Sunyavari Pashtatara Satarani. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radha Shiv Sari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes,
okay,
Prabhu.
that's good, I haven't managed to,
a bit.
because I haven't plugged in this my
It's
Yeti
echoing a
microphone.
bit.
But I won't bother today, so you can hear. Perhaps the next class I get that rigged up again. Okay, so I'm sure we're here. Everyone else is okay with this? Starting here, text 21.
Text 21, okay. Text 21.
So begin, Mother Bangladesh. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Text 21. Thus, having arranged a forest outfit for Krishna with items made by Vishwakarma, Balaram with some effort lifted Krishna and then spoke to him loudly. Commentary. While dressing Krishna for the forest, Balaram also dressed himself. The special items required were native to Vraj and unavailable in Dwarka. But Vishwakarma, who had at his disposal all the creative skills of the demigods, had made convincing substitutes for real kadamba flowers, gunja berries, and so on. Text 22. Sorry, I'm reading from the screen, so I need the next page.
Okay, so I was just contemplating how he made.
It's
creative.
amazing.
He actually made kadamba flowers and gunja berries.
Yeah.
I don't think it was plastic, but he made them somehow.
Yeah, so they're substitutes.
Yeah. Text 22. Sri Baladev said, Shri Krishna, my dear brother, get up, wake up from your sleep. Just see, it is now getting late. The cows are already entering the forest. Text 23. Sri Dam and your other friends are waiting for you, and your parents are so filled with love that they cannot even speak to you. Commentary. Krishna's friends are responsible for the cows, so when the impatient cows started to go ahead, the boys should have followed them. But Balaram indicates that the boys were too attached to Krishna to leave without him. Krishna's mother and father should have called Krishna to get up out of bed and go after the cows, but Nanda and Yashoda, according to Balaram, were also distracted in ecstasy. In fact, however, Nanda, Yashoda, the cowherd boys, and the other Nava Vrindavan Vasis were unconscious dolls, immobile and unable to say or do anything to respond to any attempts Krishna might make to communicate with them. Text 24. The gopis are watching your lotus face and laughing at you as they whisper something in one another's ears. Commentary. The gopis might be commenting to one another about why Krishna is still so tired this late in the morning. They know that Krishna must have been awake through most of the night, enjoying with his beloved, and they might be noticing signs of this on Krishna's lotus face. Text 25 to 26. Shri Parikshit said, in this way Balaram filled the scene with talk. He called Krishna by his various names, caressed him, and dragged him around in his arms until Krishna finally got up and came back to some sort of consciousness. Krishna uttered the words, Shiva, Shiva, and suddenly stood up, a look of surprise on his face. Commentary. It was not easy to awaken Krishna. Balaram tried kissing and embracing him, calling him by his names like Krishna, Gopal, and Govinda, and coaxing him tenderly. When all else failed, Balaram resorted to physical force, dragging Krishna out of bed.
He dragged Krishna out of bed.
Yeah.
He's tried to, while he's in bed, they've dragged him out of bed. So interesting scene. But carry on.
Krishna finally woke up, but he was still a little bewildered, as implied by the word Iva, which indicates that he seemed to come back to normal. Text 27. Krishna opened consciousness, sorry. I missed the words, Text 27. Krishna opened his lotus eyes, smiled, and quickly looked around. Seeing Nanda in front of him, he felt embarrassed and bowed down to him. Commentary. Krishna first laughed at himself for having slept so long, and then he saw his father waiting for him. He felt ashamed. He bowed down because he had been taught to always offer respect to his father immediately after waking. Text 28. Krishna saw Mother Yashoda also standing nearby, her eyes wide open and unblinking, as if pasted onto her face. Laughing in joy, he lovingly spoke. Commentary. As far as Krishna was concerned, Yashoda stood with unblinking eyes because she was stunned by natural motherly love. Vishwakarma's illusion seemed to be working effectively, at least while Krishna was still a little bewildered. Text 29. The Supreme Lord said, "Dear Mother, this morning during my sleep, I saw many amazing things in just a short moment, as if I were awake." Commentary. Years ago, before coming to Mathura, Krishna has considered Vraj his only real home. Reverting now to that earlier mood, Krishna assumes that his experiences in Mathura and Dwarka were just a dream.
Perhaps I'll ask a question here. So Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, and he knows everything at all times. So is Krishna just playing along with the pastime? Like, is he aware or not that the for instance, Mother Yasoda has just been described? It's not actually Mother Yasoda. It's, you could say, it's a deity of Vishwakarma. And all the residents, they're all deities, so they're not actually moving. So would you say, someone asked the question, is Krishna aware of this?
He's just playing along. He's all knowing. Yeah.
So so Nanda Vallabhi is saying that he is playing along and he is all knowing. So he knows what's going on, but he's taking part in the Leela.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I would say that he had a hunch, but because it's so wonderful, the scene, that he gets absorbed in it.
All right, so he's got an idea that it might be a parade as such. It might not be the real thing, but he wants to go along with the rasa that's playing out here.
Yeah.
So anybody else would like to offer an opinion? I'll ask this question: do you think Krishna can enjoy the Leela, or do you think he can really enjoy this pastime if he knows what's happening? Will he be able to fully relish this?
I think he's still appreciating what everybody's trying to do to make him happy.
Yeah, so he's saying so. All right, so you're saying that he can't relish it fully, but because he's not. Is that what he's saying? But because he is relishing the fact that this amazing pastime is unfolding, so he's very much relishing that.
Yeah, so his devotees are going to this extent to make him happy, to create a new Vrindavan.
All right. So what I'll do is I'll ask another question, which might give an idea of where we're going here. When some of you might know this particular aspect of Krishna's pastimes, and do you know? Well, now is the month of Damodar Leela. So Mother Yasoda is chasing Krishna, and Krishna is running in fear, and he has tears in his eyes. Now, Krishna's holy name, described in Bhagavatam, is feared by fear personified. So is Krishna actually fearful and running? And are the tears real, or are they kind of crocodile tears? Again, to just play along with the pastime. Oh, here comes Madhya Soda. Now she has a stick. Now I have to run. This is the pastime.
He's enjoying also. It's not just he's playing along. He's enjoying also.
So he's not just playing along yet. So he's enjoyed it. But you're saying again that he is aware, and so he's playing along. He's playing along,
Enjoying.
being fearful.
He's having fun.
Is it that when Krishna wants to enjoy a particular rasa, certain lila happens, certain pastime takes place?
Yeah. So you're saying it again. So you're saying if a lila wants to take place, then say that once more.
Because Krishna wants to enjoy that rasa, that maybe fear. Sometimes you want to fight. Sometimes you want to experience a particular rasa. So that pastime happens.
Yeah. So, but really, you're agreeing with the same thing, that he wants to enjoy that rasa. So he's conscious. So he's aware that he's being and he's playing a role in the pastime.
As far as I know, he's able to submerge himself fully and experience as if it's real, because the fear when Mother Yashoda was chasing him, it was very much real. That's as far as I know.
Yeah. Where did you read that from, Mother?
I have
Mother
no
Gaya?
idea, but I remember this. No idea what I read.
Well, yeah, Mother Gaya is correct. This is what I wanted to bring it to. Krishna, he has these potencies where it's mentioned in one of Shivaram Raj's, Swami's Shivaram Swami Maharaj's books. I think it's in the Bhagavad Gita, that he has these two aspects of his internal potency. One is Sarvagyan, which that means he knows everything. And the one is Mukta, which he doesn't know anything. He becomes stupefied by the love of the residents of Raj. So, for instance, in regards to the Damodar Leela, Krishna has no idea that he's God. He has no idea, because the internal potency has covered Krishna. Inconceivable how that works. So he is really fearful of Madhya Yashoda, and they're actually real tears, because otherwise, how could, it's just like if someone's an actor and they're playing a part of a king, they can't really fully enjoy that rasa, because they're not the king, they're just playing the role. So in the same way, to enable Krishna to fully taste the rasa, he is actually scared of Madhya Yashoda, and he's running, and he's, as we know, he's shivering in fright, and he's, it's described. So it's called, I think, mukta as well. There's another aspect, another part of that word I forget now. But these two, so just remember this: these two aspects of his internal potency. He knows everything. That's what we're already kind of aware of, this potency of Krishna. But also part of his internal potency makes it enables him, being stupefied by the love of the residents of Raj, to really identify, or you could say misidentify himself as being the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So let's see if Gopi Purandana will bring this out in the purports. But I think applying that logic here, Krishna is not just playing the role and making out like he's in a play. His internal potency has made him unaware at this point that he is not actually in Vrindavan. He's made him unaware that he's in something called New Vrindavan, and the residents there are just could say deities made by Vishwakarma. He's completely overwhelmed with actually this concept of being in Vrindavan, just like here. in this sentence here, Krishna assumes that his experiences in Mathura and Dvakara were a dream. So you understand? So it's not something he's a third person taking part in these pastimes just to please his devotees. No, he's actually really 100% in divine in a divine illusion. You can see that enables him to fully relish the pastime. Otherwise, he cannot fully relish. He cannot. I thought I'll ask the question. So it's an interesting to keep it in mind.
Yes.
You can appreciate. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's perhaps you can read another couple more verses, Mother Lavangalatika, and then we can hand it over to Mother Sandhya for reading. Sahachari, excuse me. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, text 30. I saw that I had gone from here to Madhupuri. There I saw wicked men like Kamsa slain, kings like Jarasandha vanquished, and the demigods satisfied. Commentary. Various deeds Krishna performed in Mathura, like his killing of the demon Naraka, were meant specifically to please the demigods. Text 31. A great city called Dwarka was built on the shore of the ocean, and so many other things happened, but now there isn't time to tell you about them all. Text 32. It's because this long dream distracted me that I didn't get out of bed on time like every other day. Commentary. When Mother Yashoda said nothing in response but kept staring at Krishna with unblinking eyes, he suspected she was worried he might be sick and had therefore overslept. To free Yashoda of this anxiety, Krishna here tells her that it was because of his long dream that he failed to wake up on time. The dream was so exceptionally convincing that it fooled him into thinking he was already awake. Text 33.
Okay, that's where Mother Sahachari to read from here. So we can see that how is this going to unfold? At what point will Krishna become aware of what's going on externally? It's interesting. Yeah, carry on, Mother Sahachari. Text 33.
Okay, text 33. Yeah. Dear respected brother, if you don't think this wonderful matter impossible, I will explain to you in detail when we go to the forest. Commentary. Baladev might think that one could not see such a complex dream in just a few minutes just before waking. Krishna therefore assures him that this was a dream he really had later in the morning. Krishna says when they have some time to sit together, he will gladly describe it all. Text 34. Sri Parikshit said, after speaking in this way, Krishna offered his mother proper respects. Then the very expert Rohini sensed that Krishna wanted some food to take with him to the forest. Commentary. While in the forest, one generally eats such simple things as rice mixed with yogurt. By observing the way Krishna moved his lotus hand and by other signs of his body language, Rohini, smart and practical, discerned that Krishna was thinking about such forest food. She quickly reasoned that since the artificial Mother Yashoda could not provide Krishna's meal or even say anything, Krishna might become suspicious if he were to ask for food from Yashoda and she failed to respond. To avoid this potential disaster, Rohini moved into action before Krishna could say anything about being hungry. Text 35. Sri Rohini said, Dear child, your mother has no other son but you. She was so worried today by your extra sleeping that now she feels a bit ill. So I think we have talked enough. Text 36. The cows and the boys tending them have already gone ahead. You should quickly follow them. I will prepare some nice refreshments for you and send them to you in the forest. Text 37-38. Sri Parikshit said, Krishna offered his respects to Rohini, who had spoken to him with such love. Then with a smile on his face, like a thief, he sleepily took from Mother Yashoda's hand the butter she was holding. He then left to join his older brother, calling out his name. Generous Krishna did not eat this butter before reaching the cows. Commentary. It seems from Krishna's cooperative response that he trusted Rohini's word as much as Mother Yashoda's. He told Rohini, I bow down to your feet and offered her obeisance. Vishwakarma knew that Krishna loves fresh butter and that Mother Yashoda therefore often has some in her hand ready to give to him. Vishwakarma has fashioned his image of Yashoda accordingly. While Krishna was occupied with Rohini and Yashoda, Balaram, thinking that Krishna was back to normal, had already gone ahead. He also had a confidential reason for leaving Krishna behind, namely to leave Krishna free to meet alone with the gopis. Text 39. In expertly pleasing words, Krishna had asked his two mothers to make lunch for him. He then had set off, and on the way, he had met some of the gopis and enjoyed some joking talks. Commentary.
I think
Krishna's
I think these gopis again, I think they are statues or deities as well, as far as I can make out. Is that everyone else thinks that as well? We can agree with that. It's not been mentioned there otherwise, so just keep this in mind. Okay, carry on.
Commentary. Krishna's plenty way of begging to be fed was devised to give his mothers the greatest pleasure. All of Krishna's dealings in Braj were meant to give pleasure to his devotees. Text 40. As he continued walking, playing his flute to keep the cows from wandering off, he then came upon Sri Radhika with her girlfriends and spoke to her with witty comments and charming smiles. Commentary. The first group of gopis Krishna met was headed by Chandravali. After talking a while with them, Krishna went on further and met Sri Radha and her girlfriends. This means that earlier, when the gopis had left their houses, they had dispersed themselves in various groups on the road to see Krishna going to the forest. The ladies of Madura speak of the young gopis who go out to see Krishna. Hearing Krishna playing his flute as he leaves Raj in the morning with his cows or returns with them at sunset, those young girls quickly come out of their houses to see him. They must have performed many pious activities to be able to see him as he walks on the road, his smiling face mercifully glancing upon them. Bhagavatam 10:44-16. Text 41. Sri Nandanandana said, O mistress of my soul, why didn't you speak to me? Your devotee whom you have now met in a secret place, what are you so busy with, my proud lady? Text 42. How did I offend you, O omniscient one? You must know everything that happened today in my dream. Commentary. There was no other evident reason for Srimati Radharani being angry at him. So Krishna concluded she must have been upset because of him dreamed that morning. She must have had the mystic power of knowing everything, past, present, and future, including what he had dreamed, what he had revealed to his mother about his dream, and what he was going to say to Sri Radha about it. Krishna began presenting these thoughts to Srimati Radharani, hoping to deliver her from her anger. He was not put off by her standing silent like a statue, because in the past his girlfriends in Braj had acted like this many times when the excessive ecstasy of love for him had left them stunned. They often reacted this way to his joking words when shocked by the strength of his wit. And in his present unusual mood, he could easily imagine that Sri Radha was refusing to speak to him because she was angry. Text 43. I left you and went elsewhere. In the distant place, I married many princesses who had been preparing to end their lives, and I fathered sons, grandsons, and great-grandsons. Commentary. Krishna rescued the 16,000 princesses kidnapped by Bhaumasura, but they could not simply thank Krishna and return to their families. Since they had already stayed in a man's house, no respectable princess could ever marry them. Only Krishna could save them from a shame they could otherwise end only by suicide, and only he could marry them all. Text 44. Anyway, right now, I have to go to the forest tonight at dusk. O bestower of satisfaction, you will enjoy with me. Text 45. Sri Parikshit continued. Having said this, Krishna threw a handful of flowers at Sri Radha, looked all around, and then embraced and kissed her. He then went ahead to meet the cows and the cowherd boys. Text 46. As Devaki saw from the first time how wonderfully and all attractively Krishna was dressed for Vraj and how he was playing his flute, milk started flowing from her breast in a great love, even though she was no longer young. Commentary. Krishna has special ecstatic feelings for his devotees, as described in the previous several verses. This is the ultimate greatness of God. Reciprocally, Krishna's devotees have incomparable affection for him, which they each show in their own individual ways. Text
Okay, so
47.
just to know here that Mother Devaki is actually physically present, and so is Balaram. So that's helping to Krishna to be stupefied in this particular illusion. So Mother Devaki is reciprocating to some way. So therefore that's helping further convincing Krishna that all is okay. It's the real Vrindavan. Yeah.
But Krishna
Yeah,
embraced
please.
Radharani. He didn't realize that she was a deity.
Yeah. No. I don't know if there's an amazing I won't be able to tell it in full, but there is an amazing pastime. I think it's in the Lalita Madhava. I think it's in Lalita Madhava, where, and it might be included here, but it might not. It's where some of you might know. I'll try and tell it in brief. Now, Krishna is a king in Dvakara, and he's been separated from Radharani for nearly 100 years. And Radharani, she enters into the Yamuna in her separation, and for all intents and purposes, from our ordinary vision, then she commits suicide. But actually, because the Yamuna is coming from the sun god, they said she actually goes to the sun planet. All right. So there's many more details to this pastime which I won't be able to give, but just give the essence of it. So then at some point, Radharani again comes to the earthly realm, and she becomes a maidservant, or she goes to Dvakara, but she doesn't know Krishna is the queen. She doesn't know that, and she goes as a maidservant to Satyabhama, if I've got that right. If those who know the pastime, they can correct me if I've got the wrong queens here. But Satyabhama is the queen, and Krishna is the king. Now, when Radharani, I forget, when she comes, they don't know she's Radharani. And she asked the queen to keep her hidden from any male, because she doesn't want anybody to be attracted to her, because she's so attracted to Krishna. So you follow? They don't know that she's Radha. Yeah. So she keeps herself in the chambers, in the chambers. And eventually she goes to reside in New Vrindavan, made by Vishwakarma. So that would appease her, because it's New Vrindavan. It's a facsimile of Vrindavan. But she doesn't know the king is Krishna. Right? So at some point, Krishna, feeling separation from Vrindavan so much that he goes walking in New Vrindavan. Now, he doesn't go there so often because it causes him too much emotional turmoil or feelings of separation. But this time he actually goes there. Now, as Krishna's wandering around there in semi-consciousness of ecstasy, of remembrance of Vrindavan, meanwhile, Radha enters into the forest area of New Vrindavan. And she comes, and there's a sapphire deity of Krishna. And she looks at this deity. At first she becomes shocked. And her and her friend, another Vrinda is their friend there in New Dvakara. They look at this deity, it's so lifelike. It's so light. It's a sapphire deity of Krishna. And Radharani and Navavrinda, and they approached this deity of Krishna. And Radharani, in her ecstasy, thinks it's actually Krishna. So she begins to dress. Oh no, actually, she thinks it's Krishna. And at some point, Navavrinda realizes it's a deity. So he tells Radharani, she imagines she goes into great ecstasy thinking it's Krishna. She says, "You silly girl, this is a deity. This is not Krishna." So anyway, they decide to dress the deity. You know, Radharani's pujari, so worship Krishna. So then they go about dressing the deity of Krishna. And of course, she's in ecstasy of the proximity of the deity of Krishna. So she's not dressing him properly in her ecstasy. But still, they're gathering flowers. And then what they do is at some point, they should go away to go and collect some flowers to make garlands and to decorate the sapphire deity of Krishna. So they go away from the deity. And then while they're gone, Krishna enters that place where the deity of himself is. And he comes up to the deity and he sees it and actually sees the deity. And he looks to the of himself and he's in wonder. Wow, who actually dressed this form? I think some of you might know the story. Some of you, yeah, I can see someone smiling as if you know it, but if you don't know, it's a very exciting story. And so then Krishna is intrigued. He can see that the person dressing this deity of me must have been in great ecstasy, because he can see by the way he's misdressed, and he identifies it as being a cause of ecstasy. So then at that point, Krishna, I think he's there with someone else. I forget who is. I think it's Madhu Mangal. He's there in the forest of Madhu Mangal. At that point, he hears some sounds coming from the trees, the forest, and he hears that someone's coming. So Krishna, he has this idea, oh, the persons who are coming must be decorating this deity of me. So then him and Madhu Mangal, they pick up the deity and they hide the deity. And Krishna stands there himself. You follow? Now Krishna himself is standing there. Don't forget, Krishna hasn't seen Radharani for over 100 years. Radharani hasn't seen Krishna for over 100 years. So then Radharani comes back into the opening where this deity, where the deity is, and she looks, she's completely stunned. You know, before she and her eyes, the way it's described, I can't possibly repeat all the details, but her eyes go wide and she's feeling this extraordinary ecstasy. And she's saying to Navavrinda, this deity is so lifelike. It's so lifelike. And they approach the deity, and then Radharani, she's kind of goes to the left of the Krishna stroke deity, and she goes to the right, and Krishna's eyes start moving and following Radharani like this. And then Radharani, she becomes shocked. The eyes of this deity is moving. The eye of this deity is moving, and like that. Then she goes. So then she, I think she puts a garland on the deity on the Krishna, and Krishna is also experiencing the same ecstasy when he sees Radharani, but he stays in his Shivanga form as a deity, and he goes into ecstasy that this is Radharani. And then they go into, I think then eventually Radharani faints because Krishna actually speaks to her, and she faints in ecstasy, and then she kind of brings herself around again. And then from a distance, the queen, Rukmini, I think, I might have got the names wrong, but the queen comes, they can see, Madhu Mangal can see birds fluttering up from the further in the forest, and they understand the queen's coming. Now Krishna's made a vow at this point that he will only marry, he will not have any other wives. And Rukmini, I forgot the name, but she is very determined that Krishna doesn't marry anybody else, so he can't be having affair, playful pastimes with any other gopis or anyone else. So then Madhu Mangal says, the queen is coming, we have to hide. And then Krishna quickly picks up the deity, fixed it up. Then he puts the deity back in place, and then he hides himself. Anyway, there's more to that pastime. It's described in one. Anyone know where that book is described? In one of the books of Shivaram Swami. It's in the Lalita Madhava. I think it's not Pariyaham. Anyway, sorry for interrupting the reading, but I couldn't resist telling that story. It's a very wonderful story, and you can just imagine Krishna's reaction when he actually sees Radharani. Radharani sees him, and it's no longer a deity. Krishna's actually there. So, very interesting pastime. I think anyone has read that pastime or is familiar with it? Silence means perhaps not. So you can read it. Yeah, please read it if you like. It's in Napariham, I think. Perhaps I shall look and I confirm where that pastime is. But that's a book by Rupa Goswami. It's either the Vidagdha Madhava or the Lalita Madhava. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Sorry about that. I hope you don't mind me telling that pastime. It was reminded when the statues of Krishna, it reminded me of that. So you can carry on reading Nava Sarachari.
Rukmini, Jambavati, and other queens, bewildered by an intensity of love they had never felt before, lost their composure, fainted, and fell to the ground. Commentary. Krishna's queens were all noble ladies, careful to behave seriously in public, but the exceptional attraction they at this moment felt for Krishna defeated their gravity. They were accustomed to seeing Krishna dressed as a prince, not a cowherd. Now they could no longer control their emotions and finally could not even retain their outward consciousness. Text 48. Even old Padmavati became intoxicated, driven by lust. She as well as Satyabhama acted out embracing and kissing Krishna again and again and ran after him, arms extended to try to catch him. Text 49. Kalindi, the daughter of the sun god, had seen Krishna like this before. Being very intelligent, she somehow calmed herself down. She and Uddhava grabbed Satyabhama and Padmavati and dragged them back. Commentary. Queen Kalindi in Dwaraka and the river Yamuna in Vrindavan are one and the same person. Thus she alone among the Dwaraka queens had known Krishna during his cowherding days. This is at least the external reason why Kalindi in this situation was able to stay sober. But the fact is that she also had to struggle to remain calm just to help Brahma carry out his plan for dispelling Krishna's bewilderment. Kalindi caught hold of Satyabhama and Uddhava caught Padmavati. Text 50. Meanwhile, Lord Govinda went ahead, tending his cows. When he saw the ocean before him, he thought it was the Yamuna, and with delight he called his friends to come play in the river. Commentary. The scene now focuses again on Krishna. The Arabian Sea rings Dwaraka like a fortress moat, and its dark blue color made Krishna think it was the river Yamuna. Text 51. My dear friends, where have you gone? O Sri Rama, Subala, Arjuna, happily come here quickly. Text 52. We can let our cows drink water from this river Yamuna, and we can play as much as we want, swimming in her gently flowing clear cool water. Text 53. Thus, Lord Achyuta went on further with the cows and neared the sea, where mighty roaring waves came one after another. Text 54. When Krishna looked around the sea coast, he noticed his own great city visible in the distance. Krishna was surprised and exclaimed, "What is this? Where am I? Who am I?" Commentary. Coming out of the forest and beholding more clearly the vast water before him, Krishna saw the crashing waves and to the side at a distance a huge city. Addressing no one in particular, Krishna reacted spontaneously with these questions. What is the ocean in front of me? Is there such an ocean in Vrajabhumi? Or am I somewhere else? But how can the son of Nanda Maharaj be somewhere else? Or am I someone else? If I am supposed to be a great prince, then why am I so unsuitably dressed? Text 55. Astonished, he spoke these words again and again as he gazed at the vast ocean and the city. Then Lord Balaram told him something. Commentary. Krishna was hesitant to decide whether what he was seeing was real or not. His elder brother had to settle the question for him. Text 56. Sri Baladev said, "O my master, Lord of Vaikuntha, please consider who you are. You were asked by the demigods to descend to remove the burden of the earth." Text 57.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else like to read there? So now, let me just participant. If not, I can read. Please put your hand up if you'd like to read. So now Krishna's becoming sounds like he's becoming more aware of the situation now. So they got to gently bring him back to, if you could say, the kind of reality, because Krishna has some duties to do in regards. So now they're going to bring him round. So let's see how that happens. I can read from text 57. Now please destroy the wicked and protect everyone else. Your cousin Dharmaraj, King Yudhisthira, has undertaken a sacrifice. Please see to getting it performed. Commentary. Balaram here requests Krishna to think of himself as the Lord of Vaikuntha and of Balaram as his aide, Anantashesh. Even though Krishna is indeed the son of Nanda Maharaj, he should now carry out the mission for which he and Balaram have descended from Vaikuntha. Of course, they had actually descended from Goloka Vrindavan, but Goloka and Vaikuntha are in many respects non-different. When Krishna descends to this world, he brings within himself all of his personal expansions, including the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus, when he comes from Goloka, he is simultaneously coming from Vaikuntha. Krishna's main purpose for descending is to distribute a special kind of pure love found only at his lotus feet. By playing his pastimes in Vrindavan Dham, Dvakara is not the suitable place for this purpose. But if Krishna turns his mind to his main objective, Balaram thinks he is likely to become completely unsettled again. Therefore, Balaram calls Krishna Vaikunteshvara instead of Golokeshvara, and tactfully points out that Krishna's current task is to relieve the earth of its burden by destroying evildoers and protecting law-abiding citizens. Most immediately, Yudhisthira needs Krishna's support for the Rajasuya Yagna. After achieving his secondary aims, Balaram implies Krishna will be free to absorb himself in his first aim without impediments. Text 58. You have established Yudhisthira as emperor, but he is intimidated by Salva's younger brother and by other exceedingly powerful villains. Commentary. Yudhisthira will not dare face the challenge of staging the Rajasuya sacrifice unless Krishna encourages him, and several opponents like King Anushalva first need to be removed. Text 59. Please therefore go to Yudhisthira, and with the help of the Yadus try to kill his enemies who are persecuting your devotees out of hatred for you. Commentary. These words are aimed at inducing Krishna to put aside the exalted sweet taste of intimate love and assume instead the contrary mood of militant anger. To stir up Krishna's fury, Balaram suggests here that without the help of the Yadus, Krishna might be unfit to kill these enemies. These enemies are Krishna's, since Yudhisthira does not consider anyone an enemy. Text 60. Sri Parikshit said, Balaram spoke these words to change his youngest brother's ecstatic mood and bring him back to normal. Indeed, upon hearing what Balaram said, Krishna did change his mood. Commentary. Before hearing these words, Krishna was swimming in the prema ras of the most confidential loving dealings, but now he was in a heroic mood. Thus, in the next verse, Parikshit will refer to him as Bhagavan. So the plan has worked. Now they're bringing Krishna around again from his ecstasy of, described it as prema rasa. Now they're encouraging to take up his duty of establishing Dharma by killing the miscreants. So text 61. The personality of Godhead grew angry and said, "Brother, who are those useless creatures? Salva's younger brother and those like him. I will go myself and kill them at once." Text 62. Trust these words of mine as true. They give my firm promise. In this way, the circumstances of the moment made Lord Krishna forget his confusion. Commentary. Krishna's bewilderment was, in fact, his complete rapture in the highest prema rasa. For now, he had to refrain from those ecstasies. Text 63. Looking around again, Krishna remembered that he was the master of Sri Dvakara, the divine king of the Yadavas. Text 64. He remembered he had been sleeping inside the palace. Then he saw the flute in his hand, and himself and his older brother dressed like forest dwellers. Text 65. Krishna perceived he had gone out of the city to tend cows, and this filled him with surprise and doubt. He laughed as he pondered it. Commentary. Now aware of himself as the Prince of Dvakara, Krishna had to reckon with the obvious facts that he and Balaram were dressed like cowherd boys and had been tending cows along the shore of the ocean. He wondered why they were acting like this and whether these things were actually happening or was some sort of illusion. He laughed at his own inability to figure this out and his long lapse from normal consciousness. Text 66. His brother Balaram understood what Krishna was thinking. Smiling, Balaram explained that this was all Brahma's arrangement and told Krishna the reasons why it had been done. Commentary. Having ascertained from Krishna's laughter that Krishna had finally calmed down, Balaram was able to explain to him how Brahma had planned the scheme to bring him back to normal and how Garuda and the others had carried out the plan. Text 67. Krishna then looked at his brother's face and smiled as if embarrassed. And since Krishna's body was covered with dust, Balaram wiped him clean and bathed him in the sea. Commentary. As indicated by the word Eva, Krishna had no reason to be embarrassed. His behavior all along had been totally praiseworthy. In Krishna's own words to Uddhava, Jugupsha Hri Akamusu. Real modesty means being disgusted with improper acts. Bhagavatam 11:19-40. If one has indulged in illicit acts, one should feel shame. One should feel shame and condemn one's own wrong behavior. But Krishna felt no shame. He simply looked at Balaram and smiled. Balaram took care to wipe the dust of Krishna, dust most likely picked up while Krishna was herding the cows in the manufactured Vrindavan, or else earlier, while Krishna was rolling around inside the palace in his uncontrollable ecstasy. Text 68. At that moment, Garuda arrived. Because he understood the Lord's mercy perfectly well, Krishna mounted him and returned unseen to his palace. Hare Krishna. Right, we have a few minutes left. Someone else would like to read? You can. Mother Lavanga, you can read again if you're enthusiastic to read.
Nandavallabi has raised a hand,
Okay.
I think.
Thank you, Mother Nandavallabi.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
From 69, yeah? Until,
Yeah. The all-knowing Uddhava informed Devaki, Rukmini, and the others that what was happening. He brought all the queens back to the palace to Lord Krishna's side. Commentary. Uddhava arranged for the gossip monger Padmavati to attend to some business elsewhere because she would be out of place in the confidential discussions about to begin. Text 70. Mother Devaki greeted her son with blessings. Well aware of what time it was, she quickly went to prepare his meal. Commentary. Devaki is excusing herself from the company of Krishna's queens, left Krishna at liberty to discuss with them frankly the matter which is the essential message of this chapter, the supreme devotion of the young gopis of Raj. Krishna felt too much filial reverence for his mother to talk about this openly in her presence. She knew that it was time to cook for Krishna, and on a deeper level, she also understood that now she ought to take her leave. Text 71. The beloved queens of the Lord stayed hidden behind objects such as columns, not approaching him. But Satyabhama had not come there with the others, so Krishna asked about her from Uddhava. Text 72-73. The Lord's servant Uddhava replied, when you took your glorious excursion to Vrindavan, which is embraced by Raivata hill, your special mood might have bewildered the unintelligent, but your queens were able to perceive it. They therefore hid themselves, watching from a distance. Then the spiteful, weak-minded Padmavati addressed them. Commentary. Uddhava is sometimes called Haridas. Shukdev Goswami therefore says,
You okay? Can see that?
yeah, okay, yeah.
Seeing the rivers.
Uddhava is no.
You can see? I just-
Yes, I can see now. Yeah.
Yeah.
It keeps moving. Seeing the
Yes.
rivers, forests, mountains, valleys, flowering trees of Raj, Haridas, Uddhava enjoyed inspiring the inhabitants of Vrindavan by reminding them of Lord Krishna. Bhagavatam 10.47, 56. Text 74-75. O Devaki, devoid of pious credits, O unfortunate Rukmini, wretched Satyabhama, Jambavati, and you other miserable women, look here. From now on, you should give up your pride and undergo the greatest penances to become servants of those Abhira, nomad women. Okay. Commentary. The queens of Dwarka may have won Krishna's hand in marriage, but they should not think they have a stronger hold on his heart than the Braj Gopis. The Abhiras are the degraded class of nomads, whereas the cowherds of Nand, as respectable twice-born Vaishyas, are respectable twice-born Vaishyas. But because Nanda's community is engaged in the same cow-herding business as the outcast nomads, and also just out of spite, Padmavati calls Nanda's Gopas Abhiras. Shukadev Goswami mentions the Abhiras tribe in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 2.4.18. Next page. Kiratas, Hunas, Andharas, Pulindas, Pukashas, Abhiras, Kansas, Yavanas, members of the Khas races, and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, for he is the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto him. 76-77. Uddhava told Krishna, the wise Devaki shelters you, who shelter the entire world. When she heard those wicked words, she said, foolish woman, what is unusual here? Sri Vasudev and I, in our previous lives, underwent austerities to get the Lord as our son, and therefore the Lord, the bestower of all boons, accepted that role. But Nand and Yashoda prayed to Lord Brahma for pure devotion. Wow.
Yeah, let's just have a look how long this purple is. Well, perhaps we can just 2 minutes left. Let's just read this purple now. It kind of explains this. I mean, because one sense we might ask, Brahma should be praying to Nanda and Yasoda for pure devotion. Here described Nanda and Yasoda pray to Lord Brahma for pure devotion. So let's see how this is explained. Yes, carry on. Mother.
Commentary. Shri Krishna surely has special affection for his parents Vasudeva and Devaki, as well as Nanda and Yashoda. But Nanda and Yashoda are more intimately connected with Krishna. Vasudeva and Devaki, in their previous lives as Sutapa and Prishni, strove to attain a parental relationship with God. When they finally achieved the Supreme Lord's audience, after strict austerities for many years, they submitted to him with their desire, and the Lord agreed to fulfill it. As the Lord later told Devaki, O sinless Mother Devaki, after 12,000 celestial years in which you constantly thought of me within the core of your heart with great faith, devotion, and austerity, I was very much satisfied with you. Since I am the best of all bestowers of benediction, I appeared in this same form as Krishna to ask you to take from me the benediction you desired. You then expressed your desire to have a son exactly like me. Krishna in Varada Ishvara, the best of the Krishna is Varada Ishvara, the best of those who give benedictions. By granting a single boon, he was able to bless Prishni and Sutapa to become his parents not only once but 3 times. But to Nanda and Yashoda, whose love for him was even more pure, Krishna bestowed a greater reward. In the rasa of parental love, they enjoy the topmost perfection of prema bhakti, found only within the realm of Sri Vrindavan Dham. Nanda is in the role of the Vasudrona, expressed the unconditional purity of his love when he prayed to Brahma. Please permit us to be born on the planet Earth so that after our appearance, the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller and Master of all planets, will also appear and spread devotional service, the ultimate goal of life. Thus, those born in this material world may very easily be delivered from miserable materialistic life by accepting devotional service. Nanda was concerned for the upliftment of the unhappy conditioned souls. He wanted Krishna to exhibit his childhood pastimes so that the world would hear and recite them and regain the taste of love of God.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, thank you everyone. It's nice again, isn't it, to get together for reading and to hear Krishna's pastimes.
Yes.
It's a wonderful thing to do. It's the best thing we can possibly do with our time. Get together to hear these pastimes. Right, so let's hopefully we'll pick it up where we left off next Thursday, and hopefully it should be okay for Monday, which is Sankabha Mudi, isn't it? So those who like to join, please do. Hopefully it should go ahead. I definitely want it to go ahead. Let's see what Krishna arranges. Okay, so thank you everyone. Thank you for joining us. I hope you're hearing this dream of Krishna. Hari Bol, Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol. Hare Krishna, everyone.